bet you know how this is. You've had a cold or a flu or some other kind of virus that has really kind of knocked you out for a little while. While you were out of commission, your home just got dirtier and dirtier to the point where you're just like, ugh, I can't take it. Well, that's exactly where I am right now. So I decided I'm going to use some of the methods that I've been teaching to see what I can accomplish. The first one is the DOTS method of managing your energy, where you pay attention to how you're feeling. If you feel green, you're feeling good enough to go ahead. If you're starting to feel yellow, you're starting to get tired, and that is a good signal that you need to stop and rest. If you get in the red, you've gone too far and you really need to stop and take a break. Purple is a whole other level of you just don't want to get there if you can avoid it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to pay really close attention to how I'm feeling with my energy. I also am going to use a method I used last winter when I was really working on overcoming or dealing with long COVID. I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes. Have you ever done that? Set a timer and then you're going to work that long and then stop? It's a really good method. When I'm really, really sick, I'll do 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, just something to keep myself going. If you find yourself relating to this, you might want to subscribe. We talk about realistically simplifying, slowing, and just trying to live happier lives. There were so many dishes. The dishwasher was almost completely full, and I didn't know how I was going to get all of them in there. Because it was so full, I could see why my husband had kind of given up and not put any of the dishes in the dishwasher. So I always have to get the dishes done first so I can think. Do you relate to that? I realized a little late I probably should be wearing an apron to keep my shirt clean. The granite in our countertop is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it doesn't show the dirt. On the other hand, it doesn't show the dirt. And so my family just really doesn't notice in what a state it is. I go in and my eyes see it, and it just makes me feel so grungy. And then when you touch the countertop, it's sticky and it's all crummy. And it's usually one of the first things I do when I'm in the kitchen. But I have to do the dishes before I can do that. And so that's where I was. And I was just wanting so badly to get that done before my 30 minutes were up. I was just thinking that when I make my videos, I typically like to include some thoughts, something inspiring or educational, something I'm learning that I'd like to pass on to you, something I'm trying that is helping my life. And I was thinking, well, I don't have anything for this video. You know, the fact that I'm making this video at all is kind of a lesson in that. Sometimes we just go through these things. We go through viruses, or we have chronic illnesses, or we have really busy times at work, or lots of things happening with our family. And we can get behind. We can really get seriously behind in our home and what we're doing. But there comes a point where we have to start doing something. Otherwise, it's just all going to collapse around us. And if we're waiting for us to feel 100% just perfectly in the green, we might never get there. Right now I'm setting up some plastic fruit fly traps that I got. They're just like little fake tomatoes that have some little holes in the top. And what you do is just put a little bit of apple cider vinegar in them, and then you want to put a couple of drops of dishwashing soap on it and then kind of stir them up. And the reason why you do that is the vinegar attracts the fruit fly, and the soap makes a film on top of the vinegar so that the fruit flies can't climb up and get out again. They work really well. Sometimes the solution is just to do what I'm doing. Get to the point where I knew I could do something if I really moderated my energy, and then set a timer, because I am someone who will get going on something and it's hard for me to stop in the middle. But having the timer makes it so I have a stopping point. Something that I can say, okay, I accomplished that. Maybe I didn't accomplish the whole task, but I accomplished that time period. And so I think that is going to be the lesson for me. and I'm hoping that it is helpful to you as well. I decided I better try to clean out the sink. The sink had this film, I was afraid it was permanent damage done to it when my husband bottled tomatoes, because the acid got on there and he just didn't clean it off well, and I was really afraid. So I looked online and there was a suggestion to use baking soda. They said to make a paste out of it, but I decided I'm just going to put it straight on there. I was so surprised it worked so well. If you're having trouble getting your sink clean, you might want to just try plain old baking soda. It worked better than any of those fancy pink pastes or any other concoction I had bought or tried. When you take a break, find some activities that will really relax you. Maybe you'll watch some TV or something, but maybe it's just a good idea to lay around a little bit, listen to some calming music, light a scented candle, take slow, deep breaths, and you'll feel a lot better. When you take a break, make sure that it's long enough that you really can recover so you get back in the green or greenish. I went back in the kitchen and cleaned up my breakfast dishes, and all of a sudden I heard something that really surprised me. My stairs in the entry needed to be vacuumed so badly, and I heard it going, and there was my second son vacuuming, and I asked him to vacuum the stairs, and he said sure, and it was really helpful. I was so grateful. We have the spot at the end of our cabinet where the family puts things there instead of taking them out to the garage. So I got them all put away, and I went back to cleaning off the countertop, and I decided to work on the stove. It wasn't really bad, and because sometimes I can't do that. It makes me too tired, even though it looks pretty bad. And then I look at the clock, and I still had 19 minutes left, which was actually quite a while. So I was encouraged that I was going to be able to get all the counters off and do some tasks like cleaning out the toaster oven. I tell you what, we use that thing so much more than we use our regular oven. I'm so glad we have it. I'm cleaning behind my snow cone maker right now. We have just gone through so many of them, and this one is really heavy duty and it's going to last for years. I finally got the countertops clean enough that I felt like I can move on to something else. I was looking forward to changing the tablecloth. It makes such a difference. We do sit and eat on that tablecloth, so it'll get crummy and they'll get spills on it, and it hadn't been changed the whole time I was sick. It's something that my mother taught me to do, to use tablecloths, especially on wood tables. Is that something you do? As you're working to restore your home to its cozy and comforting state, it's really important that you just take it one step at a time, one room at a time. Don't feel pressure to tackle everything at once, which is a problem that I often have. Just remember, everything you do gets you closer to getting it back to where you're going to feel more comfortable in the rooms. I decided to watch Back to the Future on my iPad for this break. I didn't watch it on the TV because when I get on the TV, I tend to get kind of addicted and it's really hard for me to pull away. But if I watch something on my iPad, then it is just easier for me to stop. And so I just watched about half of it, and when I got through with that half, I just really felt ready to go back to working in the kitchen again. So that's a tip for you. Maybe if you want to watch something, try watching it on a different device. I don't know what it is about the microwave. I keep reminding family members that they should wipe it up after they've used it, but it just doesn't happen. And so it'll get really bad, particularly if there is quite a period between the last time I cleaned it and this time I've cleaned it, and it was really horrific this day. But I have that little plastic woman. It's called an Angry Woman. And you put vinegar in it, some white vinegar with some water. You let it cook in there for like 3 minutes, and that is amazing. it's amazing how it just softens up everything that's in the microwave and makes the microwave so easy to clean. So I really don't have to scrub it. It's a matter of wiping it out. And I eventually will have to get a paper towel, because a paper towel is the best thing I've ever found for getting like the kind of crumbs out that are there, much better than a washcloth. And I have a little bit of a scrub brush that I will bring in there and scrub along the edges in those little cracks. And it doesn't take long at all to clean the microwave. It's not that hard, but boy, I dread it. And there's just something about opening it up and seeing everything that's exploded. It's often pasta with spaghetti sauce and everything, and it just always seems so scary. So I got the vacuum and began vacuuming off the floor, and the floor was particularly dirty. You just think about a kitchen floor being used for weeks and not being cleaned, because it's just one of those things. I'm the one in the house that notices, and I was really hoping that I was going to be able to sweep the floor and mop the floor. I actually don't use a mop. I use a steamer, a Bissell steamer. I wasn't certain that was going to happen. Just vacuuming the floor always is kind of hard on me. I have fibromyalgia. Besides having this virus, it is something that kind of wears me out. Yeah, floors are really, really hard for me. And I have Robovacs for the main part of my house, but there's just really nothing that saves me from the kitchen floor. I was hoping that I could do the whole floor, because the floor was dirty enough. When you're walking through the kitchen, the bottom of your feet, whether it's your feet or your socks or your shoes, just get black. And I just know how terrible it is, and it just is like kind of creepy. But you can only do what you can do, and that's kind of a message of this video. You really can only do what you can do, and just do the best you can, and you just hope for the best. Well, that vacuuming just did me in, so I wasn't able to do anything else that day, but I was pretty proud of myself that I did that much. So this is the next day, and of course I had to go down and do a little bit of dishes. My husband will often help me so that I don't have to come down and see the dishes in the morning, but he is fighting this virus as well. Not as badly as I am, but he's also in the process of learning how to be a bus driver for the school district, and it's turned out that that's a little bit harder than we both thought it was going to be, and he's had some terrorizing moments when he's driven the bus on the freeway as part of his training. So he comes home in the evening and he's really tired. He really needs my help, so I've got to get over this so I can be cooking and keeping the house going and things for him, just, to relieve that for him. Once I got those dishes done, I turned to the refrigerator, because the refrigerator will just get terrible. It gets really mixed up, because my family just tends to just shove things in there, and I've got it organized with all of these little containers. And if everyone just puts things where they belong, it stays a lot cleaner and we can see what we have. But it had just really gotten in disarray. It ended up not being as dirty as I thought it was. There was some dirt that I needed to clean up, but it was just really mixed up. So I thought, well, I have 6 minutes here and I am going to see how far I can get on the refrigerator, which is a different approach than I usually have. I'll be like, okay, I have to do it all at once. After working on it this particular day, I've decided, that's a pretty good method of just thinking I'm going to do just this area of the refrigerator and then walk away from it. Maybe the refrigerator wouldn't be so terrorizing to me. Look at me talking about things in the kitchen that terrorize me, but that's honestly how I feel sometimes. After my little break, sitting upstairs looking out at the rain, I went back to cleaning the refrigerator. Right now I am stirring up my sourdough starter. I like to keep two of them just in case one of them fails. This sourdough starter is like 170 years old. It came from San Francisco and was carefully cared for by this elderly woman her whole life, and she was given it by a chef, and it was just handed down all that time, and it is such a good starter. I learned how to take care of it, so it's really easy, and I just basically put it in the refrigerator, and every once in a while I'll take it out and stir it up. And then when I'm ready to use it, I just take it out and start. Some people think that you really have to babysit those starters and keep adding to them all the time and have them like explode all over the counter and stuff. That's really not necessary, and I was glad to learn. Lisa, Farmhouse and Boone, really has a great demonstration of how she takes care of her starter, and she just does what I do. It's just so easy the way you take care of it using her method. Here's some more ideas that can help us when we're in these situations and trying to recover after we've been ill. Prioritize. Focus on the essential tasks first, like cleaning the areas we use the most, such as the kitchen and bathrooms. Break down cleaning tasks into smaller, manageable steps so that we'll avoid feeling overwhelmed. We shouldn't be hard on ourselves. If we can't get everything done at once, it's okay to take time and prioritize making sure that we feel as good as we can. Embrace the imperfect. Instead of striving for perfection, we need to focus on creating comfortable and functional living spaces. Celebrate our small wins. Acknowledge and appreciate every task we complete, no matter how small. I got interrupted partway through with my daughter who wanted to talk. I had a good conversation with her. It wore me out and I probably would have quit except I had food all over, so I decided to finish. And at the end, my son came along and he offered to get me some Subway. So I'll rest and have that and see how I feel. And if I feel good enough, then I can clean the floor, but right now I'm feeling really whipped. That's something to remember. Physical effort, emotional effort, and cognitive effort all will wear your body out, each one. I kind of got hit with 3 things at once, so I'm feeling tired, and then of course I'm still not over this cold, so it shouldn't be surprised. So I'm gonna get myself something nice to drink now, and just some ice water, maybe some lemon in it. Go upstairs and rest and see if I can recover the energy I need to clean the floor, and if I can't, there's always something else to do. Always. You just can't do it all. There's always something to do. Always conversations to be had. Always viruses coming along. It's just life, right? But I would say life is good overall. There's always something to learn. I'm always learning something through my life. The thing I seem to need to learn the most is how to be reasonable with myself, how to balance taking care of myself with the need to continually take care of my home, because when I don't, it really falls apart and then it's even worse. But sometimes you just hit these things, you just hit these walls when there's nothing you can do about it. Life just stops for a while and then you try to recover. But meanwhile, that's 2 days. I spent an hour and a half yesterday doing things and I spent an hour today doing things, and I think that's all my health is going to allow. So YouTube knows you so much better than I do, and it knows what kind of videos you enjoy, and it feels that you'll really enjoy this one. I'll see you next time. Bye.